Making headlines tonight, more assistance being sought from a regional body in fast-tracking policy reforms. Barbados moves towards becoming a signatory to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Mount Gay adds another launch to its new collection. And coming up in sports, the Windies are 1-up in their T20 series with Afghanistan.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn, wants greater assistance from the Caribbean Regional Technical Assistance Center, or CARTAC, in helping government to fast-track the policy reforms implementation process. The minister made the comments as CARTAC hosted a steering committee meeting at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center this morning that attracted officials from a number of regional and international financial agencies.
These are challenging times, and you represent a level of expertise that is not necessarily immediately available in the region. Our public servants are hard at work on a day-to-day basis managing, in a sense, the systems of government. And as we go through a reform process, it is important to recognize that the persons who are ordinarily managing the system cannot at the same time effectively implement reforms in the way that we would like to have that done.
The minister adds that it is therefore important to determine how best to mobilize CARTAC's technical resources more strategically.
At the end of the day, there is still a very real capacity issue. We can solve some of those problems at a regional level by sharing resources, but by the same token, if we do not find a way to accelerate the reforms, working collaboratively with our partners, such as yourselves, then I fear that Dr. Ram's projections with respect to how the region will look in 2050 may become a reality. And we do not want that to be the case. Certainly in Barbados, we do not expect that that will be the case. And so therefore, our goal and our mission is to actively engage with all of our partners.
A key contributor to the slow economic growth seen by Barbados and other countries in the region has been insufficient investment. That's according to General Manager of the Inter-American Development Bank's Caribbean Country Department, Therese Turner-Jones. She made the suggestion as the IDB held a breakfast seminar in collaboration with the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry. More from Shrika Griffith.
The central bank's latest projection shows a flat growth forecast for Barbados this year, with a slight increase of 1.75% in 2020. General Manager of the Inter-American Development Bank's Caribbean Country Department, Therese Turner-Jones, says historically one of the underlying causes of this has been productivity, which in this instance not only refers to returns on labor, but also returns on invested capital.
Investment on the part of the government as well as the private sector has not really been as high as 20% for a long time. So that means that most of what is contributing to GDP has to do with government spending or consumer spending and not really returns on investment. If you think about what is what makes up GDP growth, it's consumption of individuals, it's investment by the private and the government sector, and it's government spending, and it's exports minus imports. So it's a big issue, and we need to figure out how to address that.
Ms. Turner-Jones told the audience gathered for the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry's breakfast seminar that productivity could be enhanced if government improves its delivery of services to individuals and businesses. That's why the IDB has been endorsing the rollout of a digital transformation framework for governments in the region.
There's no need for you to drive to the Revenue Office to pay taxes or to go to a passport office to deliver 50 documents, and maybe they say you need another document, you go and bring it back. That's what we're focusing on. How to improve the delivery of government services to make the burden on the private citizen and the burden on the private sector to be lighter and less expensive and much more cost-effective.
Executive Director of the BCCI, Michelle Laban-Clark, believes the Chamber and other private sector entities have a role to play in ensuring Barbados benefits from projects funded by the bank.
Many of the services needed to complete these projects are provided, of course, by private sector companies. So it is important that the private sector deliver value for money on all projects and help to avoid wastage of public funds.
The IDB is Barbados' largest development partner with an active loan portfolio of $221 million. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Barbados has taken steps to become a signatory of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Attorney General Dale Marshall is to seek cabinet permission in this regard. Now, he reiterates government maintains its stance against corruption and is committed to transparency.
The Barbados Labour Party as an administration has been very committed to this process. So Louis Tull negotiated on behalf of Barbados that particular UN treaty, and it is an important signal by Barbados to the rest of the world that we are prepared to hold everyone to the highest standards and to be held to those high standards ourselves. So I am expecting that by the time of World Anti-Corruption Day, that Barbados will finally be a signatory to that particular convention.
Work on the Integrity in Public Life Bill is said to be completed, and Mr. Marshall says a report from the Parliamentary Select Committee will be brought back to Parliament soon.
We've had one or two, not challenges, but for logical reasons, we've decided to add to the Integrity in Public Life Bill several other statutory instruments because we recognize there was no point implementing an Integrity in Public Life Bill unless we covered off all of the broader issues that we had to deal with. So while we could have brought the Integrity in Public Life Bill in place, it made no sense doing it in the context of a 1929 Prevention of Corruption Act. It made no sense doing it in the context of the absence of a standalone piece of whistleblower legislation. It made no sense doing it in the absence of what for us is another piece of legislation which would require wrongdoers to remediate and to enter into an agreement with the government.
Now, the time it takes for Barbadians to gain access to certain social services could be significantly reduced with the establishment of people's assemblies. This suggestion from member of the Thorne Commission on Local Governance, Richard Carter, during a town hall meeting at the Darrell Jordan Secondary School. Sharika Griffith has that story.
When you call, you get a lot of pretty talk, but no action. They're not coming to flush the pipes. And when they do come, and you see what comes out, you can't believe this is what we have to deal with.
Algernon Johnson was one of several St. Lucie residents who took to the mic during the more than 2-hour-long town hall meeting on the establishment of people's assemblies in Barbados. His question was simple: will the assemblies help speed up the response of government agencies when complaints are made? Member of the Thorne Commission on Local Governance, Richard Carter, replied in the affirmative.
You would not have to wait to go through the long bureaucratic process of something filtering up from the community through whatever mechanisms now exist and then filtering back down through the government agencies. The People's Assemblies will have the capacity and power to present their concerns directly to these public service agencies. And that is actually written as part of the proposal, that if you have a problem with health care in your community, you could consult with the polyclinic, with the Minister of Health, and bring to their attention the concerns that you have and require that those concerns be addressed.
It's proposed that St. Lucie will have one People's Assembly with approximately 30 members, some of who will be elected from within the community. However, Member of Parliament for St. Lucie Peter Phillips expressed concern with the plan for the Electoral and Boundaries Commission to publish candidates' qualifications ahead of elections.
They also have persons who may not have the academic that we seem to be, because it tells me here to some extent that you might be focusing on that, and I hope that is not the case, because to publish a CV, it might disqualify that person in the eyes of John public, because people have these certain levels of you judge persons and you put them in a particular bracket.
Deputy Chair of the Thorne Commission and Barbados' Ambassador to CARICOM, David Comachon, also responded to residents' concerns about the size of the People's Assemblies.
I noticed that some of the questions you've been getting from social media seem to be suggesting that the assemblies are too large and they should be smaller. No, it's a voluntary thing. So if people are willing to volunteer and to come on board and to help shoulder the load to help their community, that is to be welcomed.
The next in a series of town hall meetings is scheduled for the Princess Margaret Secondary School on November 27th. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
The Minister of Education, staff of Frederick Smith Secondary School, fifth form students and their parents will meet tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. at the Alexandra School. As a result, classes at Alexandra will be suspended. Education Minister Santia Bradshaw is encouraging employers of parents of fifth-year Frederick Smith School students to allow them time off so they can attend the session.